how is the ecosystem developing from suppliers, the regulators, end customers, laborers, land, etc., and what is required to improve, to actually see this grow significantly?
Like Kamal said, I personally see that, things are definitely improved a lot. There are so many data centers are coming. Governments, individual pockets of government, state governments are, giving incentives to players to establish data centers in those states, right? So things are definitely, happening, right? And foreign FDI investments are coming. Overseas players are, able to get in there, and then, the public cloud players are just expanding the way they want, right? I think overall, I would say the environment is definitely conducive. But having said that, definitely there are areas to look at from the improvement perspective. So number one, I think if you look at, I still see, I'm sure, so many seniors are there in the panel. I still see a regulatory forum exclusive for data centers is still missing, right? I think guys like you are kind of, grouping us together in these kind of forums. But if you look at, we have NASSCOMs, we have CIA, etc. But then I still see there is a exclusive group for data centers as a regulatory, body is something which is missing. The reason I want to highlight that is, these are the, groups and forums which will be aid to the government in terms of policy making, right? So that leads to, government also looking at data centers. We have mighty, we have guidelines for CSPs, etc. But then I still see that, a regulatory process wise as an industry to the data center industry, still I think there is a substantial improvement needs to be done, number one. Number two, in terms of awareness and even on the academia side, right? If you look at the software industry's perspective, right? There's so much now. We have PG programs, we have degree programs. There's a lot of focus on the software industry, on the IT industry in particular. And I personally, I came from an IT industry with a software background for about 17 years. Then the last 6 years, when I see here on the infrastructure side, definitely there is a need for academia also to focus on the infrastructure and in particular the data center segment, because that is evolving big. Because I still see that in terms of the capability, right, or even the skill set, right, it is not as much as available as you would get it in from a software perspective, right? Programmers, etc. perspective. You won't see so many of experts, right? I don't know, probably double digits you'll find ATT certified people who can actually design a data center, a complex, tier 4, tier 3 data center, right? So that's the second area. Now the third area which comes to my mind is, if you look at customer perspective, this is on the customer side. Still in India, right? As the statistics say, 45% of our data centers are in Mumbai, right? And then 25% is in Bangalore, Chennai, and Delhi. Now, as Rajgopalji and Kamal were talking about, edge data centers and spreading across into, different states of the country. And I feel, data centers has to be in a place which it needs to be suitable for a data center, right? Not necessarily like a Bollywood is in Mumbai, so every data center is in Mumbai, right? I know, of course, there are some advantages. I'm not saying, Mumbai is not a suitable place, and but personally, having seen that for the last 6 years, I would build a data center in a place which is geographically very, very low risk, which is a very cost-effective value to the money to the to the customer, and then there is a availability of all the connectivity, as Kamal said, and then other things like you have the abundance of power, and then you have the rest of the ecosystem connectivity, etc. Not necessarily only in metro you have, right? And unless you do this, right, you are not encouraging the digitization of the country. And of course, edge computing is going to become more and more prevalent. So there has to be this POPs, and there has to be this computing that needs to come closer to the end user. But I still see there are a lot of these customers, they want their data centers or even the third-party data centers in an arm's length distance, as if it looks like they're actually putting their hand and then accessing their data, right? Which is not the case. So that is other mindset. I would say personally from a customer perspective that we need to bring in, and I see that it is changing in the last 3-4 years, especially the SaaS players in particular, right? Who are one of the largest consumers of the compute. So they are not necessarily thinking about I need to be in Mumbai and I need to be in Bangalore or so and so, because so far they're not even there in India, but they're still serving the Indian market. So I see them coming to India, and then they're a little bit open in terms of having their locations in anywhere in the country, because they have certain technical parameters, and but not those non-technical parameters, just the mindset parameters. So that is from a customer perspective. But again, I think the other supply chain perspective, as you mentioned, yes, it still needs to be a little bit more improved, so that all the paraphernalia environment that is required for a data center needs to be available to all the places where the data center can be established and developed. I think that's the little thought of